Welcome back to another chapter in the Book of the Damned. Not the one Charles Fort wrote in 1919, the one he spent 20 years compiling in the New York Public Library, surrounded by newspaper clippings of things that fell from the sky, things that shouldn't exist, things the scientific establishment quickly decided not to explain. No, this is the other, the one we're writing right now, in 2026. Because Fort understood something most people never grasp. The really weird stuff isn't in the sky, not in the ocean trenches or in the ruins of ancient civilizations. It's right in front of you. It's in your hand right now. It's in the building you walked into this morning. It's in the grocery store, the subway, the bathroom you use every single day. Tonight, we're not looking at raining frogs or mystery lights or unexplained disappearances. Tonight, we're looking at the ordinary mechanical objects you use now without thinking. Objects so common, so fundamental, so deeply embedded in your daily life that you never once stopped to ask, who actually owns this? And the answer is far stranger than any flying saucer. The answer is nobody. These things belong to no one. They're public domain. They've been public domain for decades. Anyone in this room, anyone watching this right now, can copy these designs tomorrow, manufacture them, sell them, improve them, and the only thing standing in their way is the belief, the entirely manufactured belief, that someone still owns them. They don't. So let's open the book once more and see what the damned have been hiding in plain sight. But before we truly dive in, I thought I'd throw in some Ripley's Believe It or Not pages that I found. Believe It or Not caused the building of Byron's famous monument. When English school children saw the pictured cartoon on July 30th, 1930, they started a national collection to provide the poet's last place. The result was Byron's famous monument. Swain, Lord Byron's dog, has a magnificent tomb, while Byron himself has none. Let's start in 1903, Jackson, Michigan. A wire factory called the Timberlake Wire and Novelty Company. A young worker named Albert J. Parkhouse arrives for his shift on a winter morning, goes to hang up his coat, and discovers, as people working in factories often discover, that there are not enough coat hooks. Someone has taken his spot. He is standing in the cold, holding his coat with nowhere to put it. Now, most people in this situation do what people have always done. They sigh, they drape the coat over a chair, it gets wrinkled, they suffer in silence, and nothing changes. Albert Parkhouse was not most people. He grabbed a length of wire from the factory floor. He bent it, 2 loops, one for each shoulder of the coat. He twisted the ends together at the top in the hook. He hung the hook over a rod. He hung his coat on the loops. He had just invented the wire coat hanger in about 30 seconds, out of frustration. Now here's where the story gets genuinely infuriating. Parkhouse's boss, John B. Timberlake, saw what he had made and immediately recognized it as a commercial product. Under the law and custom of the era, which was, to put it gently, employers own whatever their employees invent on company time with company materials. Timberlake had his company attorney apply for the patent. On January 25, 1904, the patent application was filed. In 1906, U.S. Patent Number 822,980 was awarded to the Timberlake Company, not to Parkhouse, not in Parkhouse's name. Albert Parkhouse, the man who bent the wire, received nothing. What did he do? He eventually moved his family to Los Angeles and started his own wire novelty company. Whether he ever made peace with it, history does not record. Since 1906, more than 200 different coat hanger design patents have been filed. Schuyler Hewlett added cardboard tubes in 1932. Those are the dry cleaner hangers you see today. Elmer D. Rogers added a tube on the lower bar. A plastic version was patented in 1967. Wood versions, folding versions, non-slip versions, 200 iterations, all of them descendants of Parkhouse's 30-second bin. The core design, the iconic triangular wire shape that has defined your closet your entire life, has been in the public domain for over a century. Think about what this object has become. The wire coat hanger is simultaneously one of the most manufactured objects in human history and one of the most versatile improvised tools ever created by accident. People have used it to unlock car doors, reset electronics, extend Wi-Fi antenna range, fish drop items out of drains, hang Christmas lights, make emergency TV antennas in the analog area, scratch unreachable itches, clear clogged drains, as a prop in theatrical productions dating back to the 1920s. During the decades when abortion was illegal in the United States, the wire coat hanger became a grim and desperate symbol of what women resorted to when denied access to medical care, which is a completely different kind of historical significance and one that belongs in any honest accounting of this object's legacy. One bent piece of wire invented in anger over a missing coat hook, owned by a man who didn't invent it, belonging to everyone now. Charles Fort, approved. And here we break for another Ripley's Believe It or Not. Ripley caused the Star Spangled Banner to become our national anthem. On November 3rd, 1929, this famous cartoon appeared, and as a result, more than 5 million petitions descended upon Congress. Why isn't something done about this? They asked, something was done. On March 3rd, 1931, Congress officially made the Star Spangled Banner our national anthem. Long may the sons of Anacron entwine the myrtles of Venus with Bacchus's vine. As the national anthem. The USA, being a dry country, has been using without authorization a vulgar Old English drinking song. As recent as 1914, Congress refused to endorse the Star Spangled Banner, which is the heir to Anacron in heaven. August 7th, 1888. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A man named Theophilus Van Cannell receives U.S. patent number 387,571 for what he calls a storm door structure. The world calls it the revolving door. Now, there's a persistent story about Van Cannell, that he invented the revolving door because he hated holding doors open for women. That his invention was born not from engineering insight, but from social awkwardness. That he was, essentially, a man who invented architecture to avoid etiquette. Snopes investigated this story in 2018 and found no evidence for it whatsoever. The romantic version, the neurotic Victorian inventor who re-engineered an entire building entrance rather than say, after you, madam, is almost entirely certain fiction. The actual reason is considerably more practical and considerably more interesting. By the 1880s, American cities were building skyscrapers, large buildings with multiple floors, stairwells, and elevator shafts, heating systems, and these buildings had a physics problem. Warm air rises. In a tall building, warm air goes up the stairwells and elevator shafts and escapes through the roof. Same principle as a chimney. This creates a pressure difference between the inside and outside of the building at ground level, which means that on a cold or windy day, the air pressure differential made conventional hinge doors genuinely difficult to open. You were fighting the building's internal weather every time you entered. Van Cannell's solution was what he called an enclosed turnstile. 4 door panels fixed to a central axis, rotating in a cylindrical enclosure. 2 of the panels always maintained contact with the wall. This created a continuous airlock. No matter how many people were passing through, the interior and exterior air never directly connected. Cold air stayed out, warm air stayed in. Street noise, fumes, and rain were blocked. He filed his patent in 1888. The first revolving door was installed at a Times Square building in Manhattan in 1899. The Franklin Institute gave him the John Scott Medal in 1889 for the usefulness of his invention to society. He founded the Van Cannell Revolving Door Company, which was eventually bought by International Steel in 1907. By 1900, revolving doors were standard in department stores, hotels, and office buildings. Architects loved them for an additional reason Van Cannell hadn't predicted. Moving from the compressed enclosed space, a revolving door, into a large lobby made the lobby feel enormous. The door itself was a spatial trick. It made buildings seem more impressive than they were. Here's the physics part that most people don't know. A study conducted at MIT found that revolving doors use up to 8 times less energy than hinge doors in a similar building. Every time someone uses a regular hinge door on a large commercial building, the building's HVAC system has to compensate for the air exchange. A revolving door eliminates most of that exchange entirely. Theophilus Van Cannel in 1888 invented one of the most passive energy-saving devices in the history of commercial architecture, and he did it to solve a pressure problem, not a politeness problem. His patent expired, his company was absorbed, his design belongs to the world, and there is a revolving door, his revolving door, in its public domain form in virtually every significant building on Earth. Ripley proved all America was wrong. When Lindbergh crossed the Atlantic Ocean in 1927, America hailed him as the first man to make a non-stop flight over the great ocean. So when this cartoon appeared, all America rose up in wrath, challenging Mr. Ripley to prove his statement. It was easy. Lindbergh was the first to do it alone. But two English pilots had made the flight in 1919, and two trips had been made with dirigibles, one with 31 men and one with 33 in 1924. Lindbergh was the 67th man to make a non-stop flight over the Atlantic Ocean. Believe it or not. Now, here's a problem that probably seems obvious in retrospect. People steal shopping carts. Not shoplifting, not the merchandise, the carts themselves. You've seen it, the cart sitting in the parking lot 3 blocks from the store, the cart in the alley, the cart in the apartment building hallway. People take them to haul things because they're exactly the right size and shape for hauling things, and they're free, and they're right there. By the mid-20th century, the economic damage to supermarkets from cart theft had become genuinely significant. A commercial shopping cart costs anywhere from $75 to over $200 to manufacture. A large supermarket might have 400 carts. Replacing a meaningful percentage of them annually was a real line item. So engineers started working on the problem, and they came up with something elegant. The shopping cart wheel lock is a braking mechanism built into one or more wheels of a shopping cart, designed to engage automatically when the cart is pushed beyond a defined parameter, usually a buried wire loop around the edge of the parking lot. When the cart crosses the wire, the wheel locks. The cart stops, it cannot be moved. The store employee comes out with a key to reset it. The basic patents on this mechanism began appearing in the 1960s and 1970s. The core principle, a gravity-actuated or electronically magnetic triggered brake arm inside the caster wheel that engages a ratchet system when the wheel tilts past a certain angle, is described in patents from as early as 1968. The specific physics are interesting. The standard system uses the angle of the ground itself as a trigger. When the cart is on flat store property, everything rolls freely. The moment the wheel goes over the raised perimeter strip, which might only be an inch or two high, the change in angle releases a spring-loaded pin that drops into the wheel's gear teeth and locks it solid. Try pushing through it? You can't. The wheel will drag, the cart goes nowhere. The early patents on the fundamental mechanism have expired. Core design is public domain, and yet, as you walk around any major grocery chain today, you'll notice that more stores still use proprietary systems with ongoing license agreements or purchase equipment from the handful of companies that dominate this market. Why? Partially inertia, partially because the companies that exist to install and maintain these systems are very good at selling to procurement departments. Partly because nobody in the organization making the purchasing decisions has stopped to ask whether they actually need to pay for the underlying mechanism or whether they could commission their own. The answer for the basic design is they could. But nobody asks. That's the whole point. Nobody asks. Believe it or not, it was an accident. Robert Ripley, as a sports cartoonist for the New York Globe, put together a few athletic oddities, titling it Believe It or Not, pictured below. As his cartoon for December 1918, it became a sudden sensation and soon developed into a popular daily feature. Alright, we're going here. Men have been using urinals in some form since ancient Rome. The Romans had public urinals on street corners, stone troughs essentially, that were so widely used the Emperor Vespasian taxed urine collected from them, which was used in the tanning and wool industries. His son Titus objected to the tax on grounds of dignity. Vespasian reportedly held up a coin and said something along the lines of, "Does this smell?" The phrase money has no smell, pecuna non olet, entered the Latin record and has never left. Point being, civilization has had a long, complicated relationship with urinals. But for most of that history, from Roman stone troughs to Victorian porcelain to the 20th century fixtures you encounter in every public restroom, one problem remained completely unsolved: splashback. The physics of this are simple and unpleasant. A liquid stream hitting a hard curved surface at velocity creates a spray. Some of that spray exits the fixture, it lands on the floor, it lands on the user's clothing. It is, to put it in the driest possible scientific terms, suboptimal. The urinal splash guard, the small plastic or rubber insert you see in the bottom of many commercial urinals, is designed to break up the impact, redirect the stream downward, and minimize the spray pattern. Basic splash guard designs appear in patents going back to the 1960s. U.S. Patent 3,350,722 from 1967 describes a splash guard from toilet bowls, a funnel-shaped device designed to prevent precisely this problem. Similar utility patents appeared through the 1970s and 1980s. The fundamental shape, a curved deflector that disrupts the stream before it hits the main surface, is the kind of engineering so simple that it seems obvious in retrospect. Break up the impact, aim the result downward. Here's the genuinely strange part of the story. Despite having an engineering solution available for decades, and despite the basic patent protection having long since expired, a remarkable number of commercial restrooms still don't use any splash guard at all. Floor drain exists, the mop exists. The problem is simply accepted. Meanwhile, multiple companies sell proprietary eco-friendly or scented or deodorizing splash guards as premium products, with ongoing contracts to replace them regularly. The core design? Public domain. Anyone could manufacture them. The smell problem? Also largely solved by simple citric-based inserts, also public domain in their basic form. Humanity built the Large Hadron Collider. We mapped the human genome. We put rovers on Mars. The splash problem in the room you visit multiple times a day is optional. We just keep choosing not to fully solve it. Charles Fort would have found this fascinating, and also deeply characteristic of the species. Africa has the oddest and most ferocious animals in the world. Zebras are used as drought animals. The jury in all criminal cases in the Bengal tribe, Africa, is a tortoise. It convicts the defendant by moving towards the judge, frees him by turning in the opposite direction. The hippopotamus, which means river horse, is really a pig. African bullfrogs weigh 10 pounds. Hyenas do not laugh until they're a year old. The hippopotamus actually sweats blood, and although a land animal, it can remain underwater for an hour without coming up for air. Believe it or not. Here is a fact you have experienced hundreds of thousands of times in your life and probably never thought about. Click. The satisfying sound of a mechanical pencil advancing its lead. One click, one small increment, ready to write. That mechanism, the internal ratchet that controls the advance, has a history that stretches back further than you'd expect, and involves at least 3 separate inventors who arrived at essentially the same idea on different continents within a few years of each other. The earliest known mechanical pencil was found in the wreck of the HMS Pandora, a British naval vessel that sank in 1791 while pursuing the bounty mutineers. The ship went down in the Coral Sea, sat on the ocean floor for 186 years, and was found in 1977. Among the objects recovered, a mechanical pencil, a working mechanism from 1791 that predated the first officially recorded patent by 30 years. The first formal patent was granted in 1822 to Sampson Morden and John Isaac Hawkins in England. A hollow shaft with a screw mechanism that advanced the lead. Between 1822 and 1874, over 160 patents were registered for improvements and variations. The twist feed mechanism arrived in 1895. By then, the mechanical pencil was a going concern. And then, 1915, 2 men simultaneously on opposite sides of the Pacific. In Japan, Tokuji Hayakawa, a young metalworker in Tokyo, developed an improved mechanical pencil he called the Ever-Ready Sharp Pencil. He began manufacturing and selling it. The orders came in from Tokyo and Osaka. The business grew. He named his company after the pencil. You know this company today as Sharp Corporation. In America, Charles R. Kieran of Illinois developed a ratchet-based mechanism, the click system. The lead is held at the tip by two or three small jaws. Press the button at the end, the jaws open and move forward. The lead extends, the button releases, the jaws close and hold. The Wall Adding Machine Company licensed and marketed it as the Ever-Sharp pencil. Both men filed in 1915. Both designs went into production. Both created lines of products that are direct ancestors of the mechanical pencil you might be holding right now. The ratchet mechanism, the click, the advance, the hold, has been refined and miniaturized, but its fundamental operation has not meaningfully changed in over 100 years. The basic jaw and ratchet system that Charles Kieran described in 1915 is public domain. Very thin lead, 0.9 millimeters, arrived in 1939, then 0.5 millimeters, then 0.3 millimeters. The Pentel company introduced the twist erase eraser in 1950. Every click you make, every time you advance the lead without thinking about it, you're using a mechanism that no one owns. It belongs to you as much as it belongs to anyone. And somewhere at the bottom of the Coral Sea, in a wreck discovered in 1977, there's a version of it from 1791 that proves this idea is as old as modern civilization itself. And feel free to pause and read this one at your leisure. Believe it or not. Here is a timeline that should make you laugh. 1810, Nicholas Eppert and Peter Durand invent the tin can as a method of food preservation. The British military adopts it enthusiastically. Also, 1810, nobody invents a can opener. The can opener does not exist for the next 48 years. For 48 years, people opened tin cans with whatever was available. Bayonets, knives, rocks. The instructions printed on early military rations said essentially cut around top edge with chisel and hammer. A chisel and a hammer to open your lunch. The first purpose-built can opener appears in 1858. Ezra Warner's U.S. Patent 19,063, 48 years after the can was invented. Warner's design was a large, somewhat brittle device, a curved blade on a guard that you stabbed into the lid and dragged around the rim. It worked. It was not safe, it was not elegant, but it worked. The sickle-style opener, the church key, developed as a variation through the late 1800s. The name comes from its shape, which resembled large ornate keys used to open church doors in the medieval period. In the basic stab and pry form for punctured cans of prying off bottle caps, the fundamental design has been public domain for well over a century. The rotating wheel can opener, the one your grandmother kept in a kitchen drawer, was patented in 1870 by William Lyman. His design used a cutting wheel that rolled around the rim of the can. In 1825, the Star Can Company of San Francisco added a second toothed wheel to drive the rotation, creating a familiar two-wheel mechanism that is still the standard design today. Lyman's patent is long expired. Star Can Company's improvement is long expired. The basic rotating wheel can opener mechanism is public domain. Here's the thing about the church key that deserves specific attention. It is the most honest tool ever made. It does one thing. It does it completely. It requires no power, no calibration, no maintenance. A well-made church key from 1940 will open a can in 2040 with no degradation in performance. There's a church key in your kitchen drawer right now, or one in your parents' house or your grandparents'. It has not been sharpened, serviced, or replaced in 30 years, and it works exactly as well as the day it was made. That is what public domain engineering looks like when it reaches its final form. Perfect simplicity. No further iteration required. Fort would have loved this, the object that needed no improvement, the design that stopped evolving because it was already done. Clouds are part of the atmosphere as we leave Earth. The densest and most formidable storm clouds contain only 1 part to 30,000 parts of air. A cloud is a fog floating high in the air. A fog is a cloud resting on the ground. How high is the highest cloud? Answer, 18 miles. The turnstile is older than you think, considerably older. The basic concept, a rotating bar that allows one person to pass in one direction while blocking passage in the other, goes back to at least the 18th century, where English and Irish farmers used them as gate mechanisms for livestock. The animal could push through one way, it couldn't reverse and come back through. Simple, mechanical, effective. The turnstile entered the commercial world in 1916 when Clarence Saunders, founder of the Piggly Wiggly chain in Memphis, Tennessee, installed rotating gate mechanisms in his store. Piggly Wiggly was the first self-service supermarket in America. The concept of serving yourself from shelves was so new, so disorienting that Saunders worried customers would mill around in confusion. The turnstile created a defined path. Enter here, proceed through the aisles, exit here, pay here. It controlled traffic flow in a space where traffic flow had never needed to be controlled before. He eventually patented the full-service store concept, U.S. Patent 1,397,824, issued 1921. The turnstile was part of that system. From grocery stores, the turnstile moved to transit systems, stadiums, amusement parks, and office buildings. By 1928, John Perry and Conrad Trunbach had registered patents for the roto gate and passenger waist-high tripod turnstiles with ratchet mechanism that allowed rotation in one direction only. Their company, Percy, became the dominant American turnstile manufacturer through the mid-20th century. The core mechanics are straightforward: a ratchet and pawl system. The style, the rotating arm, can move forward because the pawl release is on the forward stroke. It cannot move backwards because the pawl engages the ratchet teeth and holds. Same basic principle as the socket wrench. One direction free, one direction locked. Once payment is made, coin, token, card, a solenoid releases, allowing one full rotation. Then it locks again. The fundamental ratchet and pawl turnstile mechanism is public domain. The waist-high tripod design is public domain. The basic electromagnetic release system is public domain in its original form. What remains proprietary are the specific electronic systems, card readers, software, the communication protocols between the turnstile and the fare collection database. The hardware is free, the software is what you're paying for, which means that the physical object standing between you and the train, the spinning metal bar, the mechanism, the structure, can be replicated by any competent manufacturer using knowledge that belongs to everyone. The intelligence around it, the tap system, the account, the balance, that's the modern proprietary layer on top of 100 years of public domain mechanical engineering. Fort would have noted the irony. The thing you think you're paying to pass through is free. What you're actually paying for is the information system wrapped around the free thing, and we call it infrastructure. From the icy regions of the moon, we go to the king of the solar system, the blazing furnace, the sun. The sun is 3 million miles nearer the Earth in the wintertime than in the summer. The first spot on which the sun shines in the United States each morning, Mount Fortean, Maine. There is no heat in the sun's rays. The rays set up vibrations in the objects they strike, and the objects become warmer. Believe it or not. This one is the quietest on the list, and probably the most important. Look at your water bottle. The wide mouth opening on a hydro flask, the cap on an Nalgene, the lid on a Stanley, the top of a generic grocery store stainless steel bottle. They all use the same thread pattern. Not approximately the same, the same. A standardized screw thread, a specific pitch, a specific diameter, a specific geometry that allows caps, lids, strainers, accessories from completely different manufacturers to fit completely different bottles. This is not an accident. This is a result of something called thread standardization, an engineering principle that dates to the mid-19th century when the Industrial Revolution created the problem of interchangeability. If every manufacturer makes screws with slightly different threads, nothing is interoperable. Machines break and can't be repaired with available parts. Railways can't be maintained. Artillery can't be fielded. In 1841, Joseph Whitworth proposed the first standardized screw thread in Britain, the Whitworth thread. In 1864, William Sellers proposed a competing American standard. By the 20th century, international standards bodies had established the isometric thread system used in most of the world. The wide-mouth water bottle thread you use every day, roughly 63 millimeter diameter, standardized pitch, is built on engineering knowledge that is so thoroughly in the public domain that it belongs to every nation that signed onto an international engineering standard. Here's the business implication that nobody talks about. Because the thread is standardized in public domain, an entire ecosystem of accessories can exist. Third-party lids, comparable strainers, interchangeable car spouts, accessories for one brand that fit another brand's bottle. The market can compete at the accessory level without having to replicate the fundamental product. This is what public domain standardization actually does in practice. It creates competition and innovation at every level above the standard. The standard itself is the foundation everyone builds on. No one can own the thread, so everyone can build for the thread. The irony, the Fort level irony, is that the most valuable thing about your $50 premium water bottle might be the part that costs nothing and belongs to everyone. A thread that lets a $15 lid from a different manufacturer fit perfectly. The expensive brand made the bottle, public domain made it useful. So here we are in 2026. Let's go through the list. The wire coat hanger, invented in frustration in 1903, patented by someone who didn't invent it, in the public domain for over a century. The revolving door, patented in 1888 by a man born in a log cabin in Ohio, used in every significant building on Earth, one of the most passive energy-saving devices in commercial architecture, public domain. The shopping cart wheel lock, a gravity-actuated brake mechanism that stops theft at a parking lot boundary. Four patents from the 1960s and 70s, expired, public domain. Still sold as if proprietary. The urinary splash guard, basic deflector designs from the 1960s, public domain. A splash problem, optional. We keep choosing not to fully solve it. The mechanical pencil ratchet, invented simultaneously on two continents in 1915, refined for a century. The fundamental quick and advanced mechanism, public domain. The HMS Pandora has been carrying a version of it since 1791. The church key can opener. The stab and pry church key, public domain for over 100 years. The rotating wheel can opener, public domain since the 1890s in its basic form. Perfect. Done. No further iteration required. The subway, turnstile, waist-high, ratchet, and pawl tripod mechanism, public domain. The software and card readers around it are proprietary. You're paying for the information layer on top of the free hardware. The water bottle thread, ISO standardized. Public domain by international treaty. The foundation that makes the entire water bottle accessory market possible. All of them hiding in plain sight. All of them in your daily life. All of them belonging to no one. Which means belonging to everyone. Which means belonging to you. Charles Fort spent 20 years sitting in the New York Public Library compiling evidence for things that didn't fit, things that fell from the sky, things that appeared where they shouldn't, things that the established order preferred not to discuss. His argument, the thing that drove every page of the Book of the Damned, was that reality is stranger and more complicated than the official story, that the explanations were given or chosen for convenience, nor not completeness. That if you actually look at what's in front of you, the world becomes deeply, productively weird. These object or his argument applied to hardware. The world is full of things that belong to you. You were just never told. Open the book. Look around. The damned, as it turns out, have been in your kitchen drawer this whole time. Like, comment, subscribe, and good night.